The night before our 17th wedding attempt, my mafia husband, Raphael Holloway, looks at me and promises an uninterrupted wedding. He solemnly swears, Gianna, I promise you, I told Natalia that even if the sky falls, she'll deal with it alone. I am 5 months pregnant by then, after 3 years of dating and 5 months carrying his child. We've never managed to make it down the aisle because he's cancelled the past 16 weddings every single time. It's for his sworn sister, Natalia Sullivan. The first time, she claims she has a fever. I spend the whole night at the hospital, still in my wedding dress, just to find out she has a mild cold. The second time, she claims her chest hurts. Raphael abandons me mid-wedding and rushes to her side, while she's out laughing over afternoon tea with friends. The third time, she cries for fear of thunder. He bolts mid-bows and leaves me alone in a hall full of staring guests. But everything's different now. 3 days ago, a letter arrived from Northern Silenzio. My father, the Don of the Rossetti family, has finally summoned me home. If Raphael walks away for Natalia one more time, I'll leave for good. This was the 17th wedding with my fiancé, Raphael Holloway. For every one of the previous 16, he'd left me standing alone at the altar for his fragile sworn sister, Natalia Sullivan. I walked down the aisle holding his arm when the baby in my womb gave a sharp kick. Our baby's been waiting for this day, too, he whispered and squeezed my hand with a smile. When the priest began the vows, all eyes in the chapel turned toward us. That was when his phone rang with a call. It was from Natalia again. Raphael's expression went stone cold, and his grip tightened subconsciously. Don't answer it, Raphael. My eyes were locked on him. A torn look swirled in his eyes as his thumb hovered over the decline button. Then, the call ended on its own. I was about to breathe out in relief when the second call arrived. Gianna, maybe it's an emergency. She never calls this much, he muttered, trying to free his hand from my grasp, but I held on and reminded him, our baby is waiting to hear his father say I do. His eyes widened at the words, then he tore his hand free as if my touch burned him. She's Antonio's only daughter. I wasn't surprised to hear that line again. Antonio Sullivan, his father's right-hand man, had died taking a bullet for him before his death. His final words, take care of Natalia, ruined my life. When Raphael checked his phone and read the text from the hospital, his voice cracked. She took sleeping pills again. Last month, she took pills too, and the nurses discovered that the bottle was never opened. I scoffed. Gianna, he barked my name and shot me a deeply disappointed look. Before Antonio died, he entrusted his daughter to you for protection. He never gave you a knife to stab into my back. Look around you. Our family, men, and unborn baby are all waiting for you to say I do. When the phone rang a third time, Natalia's weak sob came through the speaker. Raphael, help me. Raphael's eyes turned cold as he pried off my fingers like I was the crazy one. Please, a wedding can wait, but a life can't. That was such a familiar line and excuse he'd given on our 16th wedding cancellation. Raphael, my voice echoed through the hall, but he'd turned, looking more final than the last 16 turns. Whispers rippled among the guests. Some scoffed, some pitied me, and most shook their heads as if they weren't surprised. They wouldn't be because the first wedding had ended the same way. Natalia had suddenly collapsed, and Raphael had rushed her to the hospital. I'd chased him to the hospital in my wedding gown, only to see her lying pale in bed and clutching his sleeve. When she saw me, her eyes flashed triumphantly. Raphael never saw the mocking smile she flashed while hiding behind his shoulder. Our 5th wedding had been an intimate garden ceremony. I'd waited all day in a simple dress for my fiancé, who never arrived, while the elders sneered behind my back. Can't even secure her own wedding. The cunning elders of Southern Silenzio had never hidden their contempt for me, a Northern Silenzio origin. So what if the Rossetti family's principessa is clever? She still can't hold the Don's heart. Later, Raphael held me and comfortingly promised I'd never be looked down upon again. The 10th time he disappeared mid-reception. One of his younger cousins joked at the dining table, Raphael, just marry both Gianna and Natalia. It'll save you the trouble of coming back and forth. He shot his cousin a glance before leaving without looking back. This time, I would no longer wait. The wedding's off. There won't be another. The Southern elders seemed shocked, and even the former Don, Raphael's father, who never bothered to look my way, lifted his head. The priest stammered, Miss Rossetti, and maybe we can. I said, the wedding's off. I repeated. Raphael's father narrowed his eyes. No one dishonors a Holloway wedding. I unflinchingly met his stare and snapped back. Then tell your heir to come back and finish it. Under shocked stares and gasps, I lifted my hands and unpinned the tiara given by Raphael's father. It was a family heirloom passed down to every Holloway bride who swore fidelity at the altar. No, he jumped to his feet, but it was too late. I smashed it to the ground, and diamonds scattered across the floor, stunning all guests present. The moment I turned away, I felt lighter than I ever had. Back in my room, I sat at my vanity and slowly wiped away my makeup. When Raphael called, I picked up, only to hear Natalia's giggles through the line. Thank you for spending my birthday with me, Raphael. I almost laughed. Sleeping pills followed by birthday parties. She wasn't even bothered to commit to the act now. Raphael's voice sounded lazy and honeyed with reassurance as he said, Gianna, Natalia's fine now. So shall we do the wedding in a few days? I booked Littlewood Chapel. You mentioned you love the frescoes, right? He always promised next time, like there was still something left to save. Whatever, I murmured, oblivious to the subtle finality in my voice. His voice softened. Oh, and how did the checkup go? Is the baby healthy? Yeah, perfectly, I muttered, resting my hand on my belly. He chuckled softly with relief. That's great. When I get back, let's, Raphael, I said, cutting him off. Is Natalia's birthday party over yet? There was a brief silence before his laugh sounded over the phone. Are you jealous? Instead of answering, I ended the call and pulled out a flight ticket from the drawer, headed for the Northern Silenzio Mafia headquarters in Montrava. It came with an invitation card with gold-embossed script shimmering under the lights. Welcome home, Miss Rossetti. When I was about to fall asleep that night, I heard the soft click of the door lock. The thought that Raphael might be back surprised me a little. Standing by the bedroom door, I listened to the soft sounds coming from the kitchen. Lately, he'd started doing this. He'd suddenly return home, fuss around in the kitchen, and hurriedly slip out with some deliciously cooked food. Once, I caught the sweet aroma drifting from the oven and thought he had a surprise for me. What are you making? I asked, and curiously peered. He didn't even look up as his hand swiftly packed the lemon tarts straight out of the oven into a box. Natalia Natalia said she was craving this. He assembled the box carefully and even tied a perfect bow with a ribbon. I'm hungry too. I stared at the golden crust and gulped. He paused, and then remembered my love for lemon tarts too. Shall I get Susan to make you something, or could you order in? After he left, Susan Barlow made me a plate of oversalted pasta, and now, I was no longer curious about what the midnight treats were and who they were for. My throat felt a little dry, so I got up and headed to the kitchen to get a glass of water. In the kitchen, the air was heavy with the rich sweetness of coffee, cocoa, and mascarpone. He was making tiramisu. He layered biscuits, soaked them in a coffee liqueur mixture, spread the cream, and dusted cocoa powder on top. He was so focused that he didn't even notice me standing at the door until I fetched a glass. Gianna, he spun around and instinctively shielded the counter with his body. Aren't you asleep yet? Just thirsty, I said flatly. This. He glanced at the tiramisu and panicked as if I might rush over and shove it into my mouth. You can't eat this. There's coffee liqueur and raw egg in here. It's bad for the baby. Sensing his panic, I almost laughed. 3 months ago, when I had terrible morning sickness, he hadn't poured me so much as a glass of water, and now, he was fussing over Natalia's dessert. Relax, I'm not interested in your sweets, I commented as I dried my hands. He opened his mouth to explain, but his phone rang with a call, and Natalia's name blinked on the screen. Raphael, I think I have a fever. Her weak voice came through. Raphael's expression twisted with an annoyed frown on his brows, yet his gaze softened. You took those random pills again, didn't you? Hang in there, I'm coming. After hanging up, he packed the tiramisu in a box with practiced ease. When tying the ribbon, he went the extra mile to fix the curve of the bow. Do you remember tonight's supposed to be our wedding night? I suddenly asked, my heart tight with the last shred of hope. Don't start, he said, without looking up. It's Natalia's birthday, and someone has to keep her company. This is the 17th time. I could hear a tremor in my voice. He finally looked up at me with the same tired conflict in his eyes. Please, Gianna, you know Antonio asked you to protect her. I finished for him and smiled. Go, don't keep her waiting. When his car pulled away, I checked my phone and noticed that Natalia